I used to feel like slow living was something reserved for maybe holidays, or when I retire, or if I could only find a way to quit my job, and those lottery tickets never did quite pan out. I felt like self-care was something that was only rewarded at the end of a long, stressful day, and my only versions of self-care back then were sofa-bound Netflix binges and Instagram comparison scrolls, sometimes both at the same time. So fulfilling. I didn't have time for any other kind of self-care, and I definitely didn't have time for slow living. Even though I felt desperate to get off the hamster wheel of life. I mentioned those lottery tickets, right? Carl Honore has a quote in his book, In Praise of Slowness, that describes this condition that I knew all too well as the sickness of time poverty, always feeling rushed, never having enough hours in the day. Here's what I learned though. I didn't have to wait for vast swathes of time to open up in my calendar for me to start slow living. That just felt impossible at the time anyway. But I could take tiny opportunities to embrace slowness. And that felt really soothing. It felt restorative. And I started to, little by little, feel less stressed and less anxious, which made me look for more opportunities to take these tiny moments, which then in turn felt more nourishing. And at some point, my life just kind of opened up. If you're new around here, hi, I'm Corrie. I'm a former anxious life hustler, plate spinner, ball juggler. You know the vibe. And I make videos on living slowly and with intention here in the Irish countryside. It's not all picnics and rainbows, of course, although there are quite a few of the latter because this is Ireland. We live in a caravan at the moment, and although life is full of just so much beauty right now and so many blessings, the reality is we are living off-grid here and restoring our old stone cottage, and we have to do things daily like emptying the composting toilet. TMI. Just in case you thought the dream life was about things being perfect. It's not. So back to these tiny, slow living self-care ideas, because I made a list for you. I happen to think you're going to love it. These are tiny, practical things that I do, which help me to find slowness, to disconnect from that hurry pace that our modern culture tries to enforce on us, and lets me just savor something, just small in the moment, and with that, it lifts my soul. And so I wanted to share this list with you, really to just show how simple slow living can be, and how intertwined slow living and self-care are. And I'm hoping this helps you to see what I've found, which is that there is an opportunity every day, multiple times a day if we're looking for them, I promise, to take a moment, to pause, to slow down, and to find that stillness. And I think if you start some of these, some of my suggestions, and actually, better yet, make your own list, you'll be kind of addicted, like me. And watch what happens, because these might be tiny, simple pleasures, but don't underestimate their power. I've changed my entire life by slowing down. So I know that they're tiny, but they are also mighty. So let's let the list roll, which, by the way, I've tried to create as like a whole vibe in and of itself. I mean, let this video be an act of self-care and slowness if you want it to be. I bet you're going to really resonate with several of these because I think we're kindred spirits, right? But I would also love to know in the comments, what would you add to this list? And I think some of these things are going to surprise you. There aren't any cliche long bubble baths on this list. Nothing wrong with those. I'm just slightly bitter because we live in a caravan right now. We don't have a bath. And the thing is that when we slow down, that in and of itself is an act of self-care. Slow living is self-care. So without further ado, here is this list of slowness, self-care and happiness. The way the sun filters through the leaves in the trees, the smell of molasses that wafts over from our neighbours' fields, surprise visitors such as these furry or woolly creatures, a fresh journal and a great pen, oh my goodness, so good, calls with a loved one, this particular wool blanket, stretching and folding dough, the smell of freshly baked bread, and then watching my family eat the bread that I just baked, curling up with a really good book, listening to a great podcast that has me laughing, the smell of line-dried laundry, hanging out that laundry, I find that a vibe, fresh eggs from happy hens, discovering new wildflowers, taking slow meandering walks, being in water, any kind of body of water. I'll take it these days, especially as we don't have a bath right now. Hot showers. Boy, have I learned to appreciate those since living first in the van and just now off-grid. Eating outside. Cooking outside, for that matter. Tea in my favourite mug. There's something about a handmade mug. If you haven't had that experience, I encourage you to find yourself somebody local, a local craftsperson. Get yourself a handmade mug. It just fits your hand when it's made well, and it just elevates that tea or coffee drinking experience like nothing else. It makes you slow down. That's my opinion. Campfires. Something so nourishing about those. Slow food that takes time and effort to create and then feels all the more satisfying in the savouring. Seeing tiny shoots emerging from the seeds that we've planted. Voice notes like this one from my best friend.
I hope the K-Ran was okay, but watching him fall off the digger might literally be the funniest thing I've seen in ages.
Sitting in bed and looking out at this view. Just sitting in bed and looking out of any window. I feel like that's a vibe. Taking time to make myself not just a quick tea or coffee, but a special cup of coffee. Obviously, I'm not going to have this every time because it's pretty heavy on the cream, but feels good. Stargazing. Watching the sunset or being up with the sun in the morning. I was going to say before sunrise, but it's summer right now. I don't quite make that. And also sometimes sleeping in. Contradictory, but you know, they all work. Water from our well, that just doesn't get old to me. Salt might sound like a weird thing, but there's something really nourishing about a really good quality salt. There's loads of minerals in it, and it just makes food taste better, and it's one of the few ingredients in bread. What can I say? Slow time to myself in the mornings. When I get up and make that time for myself, the rest of my day always goes better. Days out, I'm looking forward to so many exploring days over the summer. Picnic blankets, homemade treats, linen bedding. If you haven't slept in linen bedding, I encourage you to try it. You won't go back. The sound of happy hens, they just make the most adorable noises. I just love hanging out with them and listening to them. Birdsong. I feel like I have a newfound appreciation for birdsong since moving here. Tending to the things that we're growing. Check out these potatoes. I'm so excited to start harvesting these. Great conversations with my clients. Oh my goodness, I am just blessed with the best clients. These women are so incredible. I'm inspired by them daily. Brisk walks up steep hills. That's my jam. If there's a steep hill, I'm going to go up it at a clip. The sound of rain on the caravan roof never gets old for me. Candlelight, so soft, so cozy. The sound of kids playing outside. Oh, God! If that doesn't lift the soul, I don't know what does. Family movie night. I mean, we could say kind of any quality family time here, couldn't we? But there's something about snuggling in and watching a movie. This was in Turkey, actually, near Christmas last year when we were traveling full time. Stopping to chat with a neighbor, which I don't have on camera because that would kind of be a weird thing to film, but also sometimes just stopping because there's cows in the road, and occasionally I wind down the window and talk to them too. Don't judge me. And you, this might be cheesy and I don't even care. I just appreciate you, and I find just the comments that fill my heart and make me smile that you leave in this community and what it stands for, that moment that I take to check in, that fills my heart with happiness. This was so fun to create. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. Go make your own list, and I promise you'll be so happy. Let me know in the comments, what would you add to this list? Which one resonated with you? I think we should inspire each other to create our own lists and keep building this list. Maybe I'll make it up to 100. It's part of living your dream life after all, right? Go make your list and live your dream life. Bye for now.